super tired, cold, but analysts I respect have been saying that war with Iran is imminent. And so I want to talk about what I think would happen if we got into war with Iran. I will say that yes, a lot of things are lining up. Bringing all the generals in. I don't think giving them a speech was the main idea. I think there's a good chance they brought them in private to listen. We're either invading Venezuela or we're going to war with Iran, or something is definitely up. And no, I don't think like Trump is directing this. Trump is just the useful idiot, as they say. So what would happen if the U.S. Bombs, seriously tries to go after Iran? Well, I'm not going to go into like what this would happen, what that would happen here and there. I'm going to talk more about the sort of the beliefs, the belief of people in power in the United States. People like Trump, though Trump isn't, I think, directing a war. A lot of people believe that the United States is the most powerful military in the world, and it's just a question of resolve, of trying, of putting your heart into it, which was in Hegseth's speech to the military, right? So many people have this idea: the U.S. is just. I mean, if you just look all around, right? Just same thing with running the United States domestically, right? You just need to get rid of all the criminal, immigrants. You just need to get rid of all these lazy government workers who aren't doing anything, right? I mean, everything about their attitude is that the problems in the world are very easy to fix. All you have to do is look at them clearly and take decisive action, right? And that's what they've been doing. So everything that's been going on has been going on through decisive action. And this isn't really about the Democrats or the Republicans. It's just about these various cabals, out there, whether they're in military defense or they're in oil or they're in food or trade, whatever. They're all they all think that they're so smart, and they all think that the United States is really big, and as long as we make a big effort, we can do it. Now, what's been happening domestically, the tariffs, sending immigrants away, all these things are going to hurt the United States very badly. But it takes time because there are a lot of variables, and so things compensate. Do you sort of know what I'm saying? Like, it's like a body. So like, okay, you shoot off your toe, you limp, you find a way to get going anyway, to ignore it for a while. And that's sort of the way things are going. But war is not like that, right? I mean, war is not like you make a mistake and then you can sort of compensate. So if the U.S. loses an aircraft carrier, that isn't something you recover from. That is not something that you can compensate with. The whole idea of U.S. military might is based on the Air Force, these F-35s, and these carrier groups, right? So that's all what it's based on. And if you look at Venezuela, I mean, even though the U.S. sent down a small fleet, still Venezuela can't really cope with that. However, the U.S. won't be able to invade Venezuela, not with an army. Like, the U.S. can't invade anywhere with an army. I talked about that in the last video. It's not, you just can't, well, yeah, I guess you could, but so many people would die. And look, even Russia isn't sending its general IT kids from Moscow or St. Petersburg to the front, right? So anyway, so I mean, I think the United States, again, it thinks it can do it the easy way from the air with planes and whatever. And, it's just fine tuning the system. So even though Iran proved with its missiles that U.S. missiles can't really, deal with them, the U.S. just feels, well, we'll pound you so strong that it won't make a difference if we can't shoot down all your missiles, because you'll be incapacitated beforehand. But I want to point out, again, it's like, let's say you had a sports team, right? Sort of like you have a sports team and it's really good, and but it's only really good because of one player. And then somebody rich buys the team, doesn't know anything about sports. And it's like, okay, we're going to win the playoffs here. And, we're going to put the star player in every minute, right? 45 minutes of every game or whatever, in basketball, let's just say. And if they keep doing that, and people tell them, say, hey, listen, don't do this, because if he gets injured, we're out. We're done. Like, this is it. We must have him. Just like for the United States to project power, it must have the carrier groups functioning properly. That's it. Without them, it's game over because you don't have any advantage over your adversary. So, they keep saying that. He does it. The lead player gets injured or hurt, and then it's over. It's over, right? And that's sort of what I see a war with Iran happening, that the press I've complained about this for a long time. Iran is very careful. Like, they know how powerful the United States is. It's not like Iran thinks, oh yeah, we're going to take out your aircraft carrier and win. They know that even if they took out an aircraft carrier, that the U.S. would get empowered in Europe and everybody would be against them. And, it would not be good. It would not be good for them. I'm not saying the U.S. would win, but Iran would lose for sure, right? No matter what happened, they'd be a loser. So Iran, past decades, has always been very careful not to do anything. When Soleimani was killed at the Iraq airport, did they do anything? Not really. No, they didn't do anything. So Iran has always been stepping back and very careful not to leave itself exposed, not to take a wild punch and then get decked by the United States. It's always been pulling back. But that doesn't mean that it can't hit really hard if it wants to, if it gets the opportunity, or if it's forced to play that game, so to speak. So if the U.S. starts attacking, Iran, all their missiles are buried in the mountains. And again, Iran's been planning for this for 10, 20, 30 years. They know exactly what the United States is doing. The United States has been trying to overthrow the government for 75 years, right? This is not new. And the papers sort of paint Iran like it existed 50 years ago. The United States had all this power, and they say, "Oh well, Iran's has these old F-14 jets they can barely fly." So of course the United States can kill them because we have new F-22 Raptors and F-35s and stuff like that. But that's missing the point. Iran's not going to try and battle the United States in the skies with fighter aircraft. It's said, "Hey, I've lost that. I know I don't have that," and so all their efforts have gone into missiles and empowering small domestic, you can call them terrorist groups if you want, whatever you want to call it, rebellious groups, around the area to cause trouble. So they've worked on their strength. They've decided that, hey, the only thing what we want to do is we want to build the best, most accurate, deadly, hidden missiles in the world, so that if the U.S. tries anything, we can hit each of their bases with our missiles. Like that's our plan. Okay, so if they do it, then we're going to use all these missiles. And so the U.S. doesn't really know how many missiles they have, but I'm sure they think they know, right? And I'm sure that all the people that are starting this, finally getting this thing to happen, which again has been decades in the making. So when these people say it's going to happen, they've said it's going to happen before. And I don't even know why I'm making this video, because I don't know what's going to happen today. It could be a year, 2 years, 10 years, never down the road, really. So I'm not making any, I just forget, they're starting to say that it's going to happen. And I want to do a video to point back and say, it's going to be it's going to be, you have incompetence in the U.S. government, incompetent cabals who aren't really, who don't take criticism at all. You have basically a no criticism government, right? You fire anybody that criticizes. They're given this military that they believe is the most powerful in the world, and the only reason the U.S. isn't working well is nobody is using it, because everybody just wants to be, fuzzy-duzzy and whatever. And so that's their belief, and I get it. But still, when a war happens, you're not up against changes or things that people can sort of ignore. If you lose an aircraft carrier, it will take years for you to build another one. Years. And plus the whole world, like my favorite saying in all of military stuff is, the threat is mightier than the sword. And a similar one is, speak softly and carry a big stick. Roosevelt. So, that's big. Threat is mightier than the sword. Walk softly and carry a big stick. But the current, whoever is running whatever things, they're all about, be strong, be assertive. And if they're assertive with that, and we lose an aircraft carrier, then there's no more threat. because how is the U.S. gonna project power? You lose an aircraft carrier, right, somewhere in the, or you lose some ships or whatever, or you lose a bunch of fighter bombers in a base or whatever, or Iran has some sort of secret anti stealth plane missile that shoots a bunch of them down, whatever that could happen. Or again, it could just be like, U.S. could just blunder somehow. Maybe the aircraft carrier just breaks down, right? I mean, so whatever. Once that happens, how is the U.S. going to project power into the Middle East? It has hardly any merchant marine left. All those boats are like ships are like 45 years old. They're all old. There are not many of them. I forget the numbers, but it's like 60, 70% of what was around during the Iraq invasion. So all the wave reaching there is gone. And when we did Iraq, it still took 6 months to get everything there. So once an aircraft carrier is gone, what are you going to do? Okay, so you have bombers, you can fuel your F-35s, and you can drop bombs on Iran like every day. But what's it going to do? Iran's been spending 45 years hiding them all because it knows that's exactly what the United States is going to do. It knows the United States can't send an army into Iran because it's mountainous and they'll get slaughtered. The same reason Israel couldn't even get far into Lebanon. Israel, the United States, they can beat up on little people, but they can't take any land. They can't take any territory whatsoever. So, yeah, okay, so you lose a battle group, and now you're just bombing them, and then what, right? Well, everybody realizes, okay, the U.S. is no longer the superpower, and it's become full on World War III in a way that everybody agrees. Now, again, I've been saying we're in World War III right now, just the early stages. So anyway, I've gone on, I think, 12 minutes. That's way too much, but I just wanted to, again, try to do a video every day and say, yeah, if something's happening and it's going to end in tears and humiliation for the United States, I think. So, okay, well, good night.